everyone, and welcome to Burn the Ship, the podcast that helps entrepreneurs go all in on their business, and we introduce them to professionals that can help them to do so. Today, we have a very special guest. Darren, how are you doing today?
Living the dream, Roger.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. Please introduce yourself and the name of your business.
My name is Darren Christensen. I am the owner of ModMod Modular.
Awesome, awesome, man. We look forward to learning so much more about ModMod, but we want you to take some time to tell us a little bit about your journey, and we understand that time is one of our most valuable resources, so go ahead and tell us a little bit about it.
Oh man, where to start? I always liked building things with my hands. I was never so great at school, but I did start off in college, mechanical engineering. Found out that wasn't really for me, then went to a tech school where I could work with my hands. I excelled there and ended up being a master tech for BMW for several years.
Okay.
Found out I couldn't grow or couldn't get any further in the company. So I started looking at other things and got into real estate investment. And then it was just a matter of finding the right people and then finding my own niche. There's so many different ways to get into real estate investing and building. And my entire career for the past probably 15 years has just been small pivots to make that whole process more efficient.
As you were doing the master tech for BMW, so you were helping with mechanical things is what you're doing? You were inside the engine and things like that?
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Now with it, there wasn't a situation where it would allow you to grow to be like a supervisor, manager, or stuff like that? They would say you're going to be a tech and a tech only?
It's a funny industry. I came in kind of at the top. So through tech school, I did really well in, and then I got into this graduate program. BMW North America sells you off or takes you to a training facility, and there are only 15 of us in there. 15 people get into it a year. And then when you come in at the top of the food chain, and as far as the tech is concerned, that program, BMW North America, then sells you off to a dealership, like a part number.
Okay.
And there's very little room for growing, and it's kind of a good old boys club. So the people that are in management got there because they know the owner and that sort of thing, and not really based on merit. Okay. So it was a little bit frustrating in that sense, but it also pushed me to find something else.
Now, when you were looking for those other opportunities, what led you towards real estate? Was it a course you saw, a friend, family member was doing it? What pushed you into that industry?
I didn't know where I wanted to go at first, so I started taking courses, and I took a Dale Carnegie course that was offered locally, and I met a guy that was doing really well. And he's like, "Hey man, if you're ever interested, hit me up. We'll talk about it." And it turns out he was in a real estate education pyramid scheme, but that also got me into like understanding how things work, some instances how not to do things. But yeah, that was the catalyst.
Now with it, where did you start? Was it fix and flip? Was it wholesaling? What is it that you were doing in the real estate industry first?
It was fix and flip for the most part. You get a property and turn it over, which is ultimately not a great tax strategy, but it's a great place to start.
Now, as you were going through it and you were going through the experience, because you said it was like 15 years worth of real estate experience overall, how did you just come across the opportunity for a modular manufacturing situation, or what led you into that segment of real estate?
Yeah. So like I said, it was a series of these pivots, and we did fix and flips, and we started like heavy gut rehabs. We did ground up construction, and all the time I'm working on figuring, how do I make this more efficient? How do I do more with less? Because we were getting at the edges of our capacity that we could do without bringing on a ton of other help. So I found modular construction, where essentially we could still do the land prep. I loved taking things from the ground up, and you get there's the most margin there when you go from ground up. So we could do that. We could bring homes in, and bada bing, bada boom, right? You get a turnkey investment property there pretty quick. And I love the idea of that. We did our pilot project, and everything that could go wrong went wrong. And
Yeah.
2020, when we finally got to this point,
Mm-hmm.
so the whole world was just in a mess trying to figure things out. But it also made me realize that there are a lot of inefficiencies in this specific industry. So a lot of the modular industry is controlled by the mobile home industry, and the people that put the homes together and the site prep and everything are the same that would put together a mobile home. And also, we absolutely need that housing solution. It's not the same as like this is a $500,000 home that we're putting here. It's not being treated as such when they set it up. So we had to be very diligent about owning that process. And because so many things went wrong with it, I just got pushed to the point where I was like, screw it. I'll do it myself. I can do it better myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably spent a year and a half looking to partner with a company, and then bouncing around the country looking at factories, because with this partnership we would need to get a factory up and going. And then again, I ran into the same situation where they're trying to do this from, we're going to need a $15-20 million investment before we can even start building anything, and their building requirements are crazy. I was like, I could find ways around all of these things. We don't need $100,000 gantry cranes.
Mm-hmm.
We don't need buildings that have a 35-foot clear height thing. That's crazy. Those things aren't like super common when you're looking for factories.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, I went back to the drawing board and it's like, I'll just do it myself. We'll start out with an MVP factory. This minimum viable product. Let's get something going that we can work with, and we'll get started and we'll figure out all the things, and then we'll grow it from there. And yeah, that's what we did.
Awesome. Now, you said are you still with your same guy that you were doing the real estate course thing with, or had you taken on another partner from
there? So I never worked with him directly.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Right. We have employees, but my wife, I have the business.
Okay. So we got ready to figure out this new path into real estate. You have created ModMod. Go ahead and tell us all about it. Tell us, who you're looking to get in front of, who you're serving, how you're serving. Tell us all about the business.
Yeah, sure. The ModMod is the thing I'm driven to do. We want to provide affordable housing, but do it in such a way that it doesn't end up hurting the people that need it. Like so many of the solutions that are out there right now. Right now, there's so many things that are disposable housing, which if you're familiar with, when people buy the cheapest thing because it's the cheapest thing now, but then it ends up costing you more and more in the long run. That's the cyclical cycle that I want to get away from. So everything we build is built to last generations. It's built to outlast the people that purchase it. But beyond that, we figured out that we needed to appeal to the investors and developers that could put the infrastructure in place, where the people that need affordable housing can't afford it. Right? They can't afford it. Mainly the infrastructure. There's so many moving pieces to get the piece of property, to get it entitled, to get the utilities there. There's a lot of moving pieces, and that's really difficult to do. Part of my journey was I sold everything. Went bankrupt mid journey, sold everything, and then found a piece of property out in the middle of nowhere that was trashed. And then I built a tiny house on that. And a few years I was able to get out of debt. And then a few more years I was a millionaire. And it's that sort of thing that I want to replicate for other people. Like, if you can get people to thrive instead of just surviving, like what are people capable of? That's the thing that moves my heart the most and drives me to do this. So we went about it completely differently. Obviously, we're doing smaller spaces, but the quality of the build quality is so much more. So that the things last. And then we take it a step beyond that. And how do we make people comfortable in these structures where, we've got systems that they keep the temperature constant. They're quiet. There's no noisy things in there. Drawers are soft closed, those sort of things. And then all of the touch points are really quality, right? So you feel secure in your home. Because if you're in something, a cheap piece of crap and everything feels like it's going to fall apart anyway, then subconsciously you're like, well, why do I need to take care of this? And if you're not taking care of your home, are you taking care of yourself, right? There's, this cascade of mental effects when you're not feeling secure in a place that you live. That's the thing that we're looking to resolve. So are aiming towards investors, developers, people that are looking to put lots of these units out, as well as hospitality lodging. We're a good fit for hospitality lodging.
So it's one of those things where it doesn't matter where you are in the country, you're looking to connect with investors that can find you portions of land. Is that what you're looking for?
Right. So investors that are looking essentially for a turnkey investment project where we can make the most of the resources available. Prefab construction is really great in that way, where you can be doing your site work at the same time that we're building in a factory.
Mm-hmm.
And then we can come together, and then in a couple of weeks everything's turnkey ready to go. So we cut months off of the development process,
Mm-hmm.
which saves in overhead costs. And that's another thing that's happened in the past 4 years or so is those holding costs have gotten crazy with construction projects. Not only that, but all of the trades, if you're bringing in subcontractors, every one of those things is just going to be bleeding you dry right now. So we do all of the trades are in-house. And it's more efficient when we build in a factory setting. And we're even more efficient when we're doing a production run of something. So if we're doing several units that are the same, right, it only takes us a little more effort to build multiples as it does to do one. And then we marry the site work and what we do very, very quickly. And that's the idea, to a solution for affordable housing, which really hasn't been targeted in a substantial way. The other sides of it are like RV parks or mobile home parks, but cities want nothing to do with that. We need to be as conforming as possible as far as building codes, so that the cities accept what we're doing. And then really beyond that, the only real affordable housing solution is co-living, right? And co-living, I think, is a great solution, but there's some pieces that make it a bit more inefficient. And we tracked all the data for co-living and we worked our model around it. And what we found was people that are in the co-living, they're usually young professionals, their first careers, they're starting out, they want to get out of the house, their parents, and strike out on their own. And really what people want is as much autonomy as possible, right? So ideally you'd have your own ensuite bathroom, you'd have your own entryway, your own AC controls. Like, those are huge things for people. They didn't really care about the shared living spaces. So we designed around that. We create these suites that have everything they need, but we were able to cut out the co-living spaces, which saves on construction costs, obviously.
Yeah, so I was going to ask, was it just one unit or were you talking about like duplexes, triplexes? So you're talking about like one unit that has multiple suites and maybe no living room, no dens? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, we can do everything, right? And the beauty of modular is we can design to where multiple modules can fit together. So at the most inexpensive end of the spectrum, we can build efficiency apartments, and we can do them horizontally. We can go vertically. It's really super modular in its ability to be laid out. But on the other end of the spectrum, we can do full size housing as well. We can build. Right now, our biggest one that we're doing is 1,000 square foot, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, with a pretty efficient layout for that square footage. We can build bigger beyond that. It's just going to be adding more modules.
As we are trying to continue to paint the picture on the canvas so the people that are watching today can have an idea, one of the questions that I picked up from what you shared was you can save time. What's an idea of bang to bullet? Let's just say the ground is already utility ready. I'm not talking about straight up raw, but let's just say the ground is ready. How long would it take if you said, all right, Darren, do it, here's the money?
I'd say, I mean, if the ground is ready and we can move as quickly as possible, we'd probably have it done in 3 months right now. As we're just now ramping up. So as we ramp up, we're going to take our build time from, call it 10 to 12 weeks down to 2 weeks. So we'll be able to build an entire house in 2 weeks or less. And then it's just a matter of how quickly can the site work be done. And it's really the foundation. at that point is if you've already got utilities. The utilities are going to be hooked up after the building's on there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we just need our foundation in place, and that if we have the contractors lined up, we can usually get that done in a couple of weeks, right? So that's what we're getting down to, like a house in 2 weeks. But
Yeah.
then you get into economies of scale, right? So we can do one in that time frame, or hey, maybe we extend that time frame out another couple of weeks and we put 4 or 5 or 6 of them out there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, that makes sense. And you've talked a lot about the business in itself, you know, how you're helping with this affordable housing situation, but you also talked a little bit about investors and what I would consider your referral partners. What are you looking for inside of an investor to help you to continue to build the business?
Essentially someone that has land or is willing to get land and do one of these developments. Right now we're talking to RV parks and hospitality a lot, because we have a product that can double the occupancy of an RV park. We call it our studio duplex. So it fits in an RV space, but it has a little over 200 square foot studio apartments in there.
Mm-hmm.
And we're we've taken that angle, right? We're looking at how do we make this work for investors, and we really needed the money. The numbers need to work out, and that was a good way to get in there. And our units are pretty inexpensive, especially taking into consideration like there's very little maintenance that needs to be done on these things. They last an incredibly long time.
Mm-hmm.
We're priced at like if you're familiar with an RV park model, which is essentially a small mobile home that's classified as an RV and they can't be over 400 square feet. They're built to pretty poor standards, but we're pretty cost comparable to those, but with something that's going to last 100 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, is there a specific part of the country that you're focusing on more right now, or is it just any land anywhere?
We're focused on Texas because our first factory is in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, if the project is big enough or if they're in an area that's pretty expensive to build in, then it can make sense. We're talking to a lot of investors in California right now because they can't shake a stick at what we can build for. So even if we have to move, we have to ship our modules halfway across the country, the numbers still work.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And beyond that, as we get everything ramped up, we'll be building out more factories. Like I said, we went the other way around. Instead of building a huge factory that's, $20 million to set up,
Mm-hmm.
our idea is to franchise this model so that $2 million you can be up and running in a factory, and we can put these all around the country. You can put a lot more of them up there. And getting back to efficiency, you want to be in, call it a 4 or 5 hour radius of where the factory is your most efficient run, so that your trucks delivering can go out and come back the same day.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to be launching a house from the factory every single day, those trucks need to be going out and coming back as efficiently as possible.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Over this time, you shared with us about your experiences of being a master tech inside of the automobile industry. You have had a lot of experience inside of the real estate field, from the fix and flipping, the gutting, and now doing the modular. And I'm very confident that over that time, you have acquired and nurtured some business skills that have allowed you to become successful. Do you mind sharing with the audience that are watching today some of those skills maybe they can use and try to strive toward that same success?
Yeah, there's a lot of skills. YouTube University is a good one, right?
Okay.
You're just we're in an age right now where information is so readily available, and we can circumvent so many things just by taking advantage of those information sources. There's a caveat though, because a lot of people get stuck in that phase of it. I've heard it called the analysis paralysis.
Mm-hmm.
And my biggest thing would just be to go after it. Take some action. It doesn't matter what it is, because you're going to learn orders of magnitude more from doing anything than you will from sitting there absorbing information. And that's the biggest thing. You'll learn, you'll fail, you'll find ways that not to do things, but from that you're gaining so much,
Mhm.
and you'll gain your momentum a lot faster just by getting out there and doing something, anything.
Yeah. Tell the people not to be stagnant and not just say, hey, everything has to be perfecto before you go forward. Sounds like you're telling them to go ahead and dive in. Would that be correct?
Absolutely. It's never going to be perfect.
Mm-hmm.
It's never going to be perfect. You just get out there and get into it.
Well, you've done a great job at that, and I can already tell that you have had some success over your lifetime in what it is that you're doing. And I want to talk a little bit about Darren. We've talked about your journey, the business, and things like that. Let's just say that you're able to get those people in California to come on board, and now you got mods all over the country. Time and money is not an issue. What is it that Darren would do with his time?
So I do actually have all of this written out. I've got plans for all this. ModMod will be $1 billion company by the end of the decade, and I'm not the person to run that company.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the, I have got the ideas and I want to put things in motion, but I understand with this company that from the very onset, that I'm going to be working myself out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I want to do with my time, what I will be doing with my time at that point, is sailing around the world with my wife. We've got a deposit on a sailboat that's going to be built, and we will take that around. We figure we'll probably spend at least a decade sailing around the world, just seeing places
Mm-hmm.
and learning about other cultures. We're only here by happenstance, and we only really understand the places that we spend a lot of time. So we want to spend a lot of time around the world. And from there, we want to find the places that we love and we want to protect. So rolling those funds into protecting plots of land around the world that we think are worth saving, and funding research or whatever it is. We'll probably put marinas and eco villages around that will fund these operations in perpetuity, that don't need us. Like, they can fund and protect the areas that they're around, and that's my legacy plan beyond ModMod.
Yeah, I can tell that you're an engineer, Darren, because you actually have a plan for what you're going to do with the time. Do you know how many times I ask this question and people are like, travel? You actually got a whole plan together, man. I'm rooting for your success even more now because you
Yeah, thank you.
actually have it down packed, man. I definitely appreciate that. And for everyone that is watching, have a plan and go out there and get it done. Now, Darren, if people have questions about ModMod, have questions about some of those skills that you shared, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Best way to get in contact with us is through the website, modmodmodular.com. We've got a contact form on there, and we're really fast about responding to all of those.
All right.
And happy to chat about, people getting up and going, or people that are obviously interested in our product. But really, if I can be any sort of inspiration towards people and taking that first step, that's the biggest effect I think I can ever have on somebody, is bridging that gap between the what if, or what's possible, and the I'm going to do something about it.
Gotcha. Man, you've been a magnificent guest, very inspiring, because like you were sharing with us, you didn't really know what you were going to do right after being a tech, but you dove into real estate and now been super successful with it. And we appreciate you coming on today and sharing. And because of that, we always honor our guests by giving them the last word. So please take a couple minutes, look into the camera, and tell the people something good.
Sure. I can bring this back to burning the ship, right? Don't ever take advice from someone that hasn't been where you're going, right? When people speak, they use you as a mirror, right? They're speaking their own fears and insecurities, and don't take that on. Like, don't believe people just because they're older or they say something. Like, if they haven't been there, don't take that. And beyond that, like, you do you. Like, you do the things that light you up, and hold on to those things that light you up or fire you up, and incorporate them into your everyday life in any way possible. Those are the things that will keep you going, because this entrepreneur journey is hard and arduous and lonely. But if you have a spark of something that just lights you up every day, it's worth doing.
Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing with us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Roderick.
Absolutely. And to everyone that is watching, be kind and thanks.